Tonight on our news, airport staffers ordered back to work. We'll tell you about the Supreme Court ruling. And police uncovering a car theft ring. What you need to know to keep your property safe. Plus, meet our champion. Find out the familiar face that scores his own gold. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. A Supreme Court ruling ordering airport staffers back to work this morning, calling Monday's sick out illegal. This as the minister responsible says the situation at Lynden Pindling International Airport intensified, causing difficulties. Bethany McDermott is following this.
It was back to work for hundreds of airport workers who called in sick on Monday. A Supreme Court injunction was handed down late Monday night, deeming the sick out illegal and ordering those employees back to work Tuesday morning. The ruling given by Supreme Court Justice Denise Lewis Johnson also saying the action was in breach of the Industrial Relations Act. Labor Minister Keith Bell says the majority of employees reported to work.
I'm pleased to report that while we do not have 100% of persons back to work, a number of the persons have reported to work this morning on the 4:30 a.m. shift. And as it all stands, all operations at the international airport has returned to some degree of normalcy.
The ruling requiring all employees to report to work also reads, this means that anyone who continues in industrial unrest will not only be accountable to the airport authority for disciplinary reasons, but will also be accountable to the court. For those employees who may still not show up to work, Bell says the situation will be looked at a case-by-case basis. For those who have no valid reason to miss work,
let justice take its course. That's all I will say at this time.
Meanwhile, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Aviation Chester Cooper saying Monday was tough.
The wait time perhaps increased by an hour during the peak period, as you saw the long lines, but we were able to work through those lines systematically.
While many showed up for work, the DPM says there's still a significant amount of sick slips being sent in. The unrest came as TSA International was conducting an audit at LPIA.
We have to see at the end of the day what the impact of that assessment will be, what impact the actions had on that assessment.
Now, Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Clint Watson, telling reporters this morning that the Prime Minister met with the BPSU President where he gave the assurance that his members will return to work and that a meeting will be held with the Airport Authority. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Minister of Transport and Housing JoBeth Colby-Davis declining to comment on Monday's bus drivers' protest. However, her ministry today releasing a statement insisting the government is committed to balancing their concerns with the interests of those who use public transportation. Bus drivers say a fare hike is much needed given the sharp increase in prices at the gas pumps. The statement says the request for a fare increase was deferred to allow government to design a temporary relief package. However, that relief package was rejected. The statement went on to call for all bus drivers to return to the negotiating table to prevent further disruptions to the public transportation system. And as some labor groups continue to hit out at the Davis administration, the labor minister admits there needs to be a faster way to address the outstanding agreements. His comments come on the heels of that sick out at the airport, which, among other things, was due to an outstanding industrial agreement. Minister Bell tells reporters he is not only hopeful, but also pleased with the progress with the nurses, doctors, and other public unions.
We're going to have to move to find some mechanism where we're able to address these agreements in a more rapid way or quicker way. As you would appreciate, by the time as the person sit around the table and we go through these agreements, but we come to an understanding going back and forth, the time has lapsed. It's just simply so much time. But so on the one hand, while government has to bear in mind the limitations on its purse, the unions at the same time, on the other hand, is trying to get as much as they possibly can for its membership.
Meanwhile, there's still no resolution for those finance officers who were accused of overpaying themselves more than $4 million. State Public Service Minister Pia Glover-Roll telling reporters the matter is now out of her hands and has been forwarded to the Ministry of Finance.
Public Service would have provided the advice to the Ministry of Finance on the resolution to that matter, and that matter is now back in the hands of the Ministry of Finance.
Protesters gathering outside the office of the Prime Minister yet again as those unpaid contract workers continue to reject statements made by Bahamas Public Parks and Public Beaches Authority Chairman Mikel Bonnaby. The group says the time for games is over. Joshua Williams has the story.
The executive authority, the executive chairman and the minister of the government believe that we're playing Dolly House. We're not playing Dolly House with them.
That was the scathing response spokesperson for the unpaid contract workers Richard Johnson had for Executive Chair of the Bahamas Public Beaches and Public Parks Authority, Mikel Bonnaby, who recently promised that 200 workers will be paid soon. Bonnaby reiterating on Friday that the authority exceeded its $15.2 million budget, saying it's one of the reasons why some payments are outstanding.
It has nothing to do with us. The contract is binding for a year. In fact, we read last night where, the word shall mean that you obligated to honor these contracts.
The protesters also say they fear they will have to go through the rigorous Know Your Customer reapplication process again to reapply for payment, a move they say is costly.
It costs them money. They have to go and get bank statements, which is a cost. Okay? They have to now go and get their tax compliance certificate renewed because it only lasts for 3 months. It has been 6 months, almost some 8 months for some persons. So now they have to go find monies. Therefore, it's incumbent upon the government to take care of all Bahamians, not a certain portion of.
Now, last week, Minister Mikel Bonnaby did state that over 200 contract workers will be paid soon. Despite this fact, these protesters say that they will be here every Tuesday morning until their demands are met. Reporting for our news, I'm Joshua Williams.
Police uncovering a car theft ring and are putting residents on alert. We'll tell you how you can stay safe in just a moment. In the meantime, more showers in the area. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks and welcome everybody for our first look at weather on this warm Tuesday evening. If you have plans on outdoor activities, not too bad. Temperatures kind of warm, 85 degrees, passing clouds. East-southeasterly wind flow at 12 miles per hour, so there's a little bit of a breeze. It's taking a little bit of the edge off the warmth out there, but factoring the relative humidity, it still feels like the low 90s. Satellite view, very quiet day around the island. Hot and hazy and humid across most of the island chain. A few spotty showers passing across the islands, but that ridge of high pressure remains in firm control and will continue to dominate our weather. Warm temperatures expected tonight and another warm and sunny day tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, details about the car theft ring that has investigators on alert. And it's electric, how the surge in gas prices has led to a boom in electric car sales. Plus, we'll tell you the investment Disney is making in young entrepreneurs. That's coming up when our news returns. $30,000 of suspected marijuana taken off the streets of Grand Bahama. According to police reports, just before 7 p.m. on Monday, officers from the Drug Enforcement Unit went to an abandoned building on Butterfish Court in Caravel Beach. When officers arrived, they saw a group of men near a dilapidated vehicle. As the officers approached, the men fled, leading the officers on a foot chase before they escaped. Officers searched the vehicle, where they found a black duffel bag containing 26 vacuum-sealed packages and 4 round packages of suspected marijuana. Police are still searching for those suspects. And a disturbing trend is unfolding as police are reporting a number of stolen vehicles in recent weeks. Tonight, the Public Affairs and Communications Officer for police is shedding more light on the issue and is urging residents to remain vigilant. Italia Hall reports.
Public Affairs and Communications Officer Chief Superintendent Christine Skipping says armed gunmen are approaching residents as they arrive home. She says several vehicles were recovered over the weekend.
We can recover these vehicles very easily, All it calls for members of the public being aware. If you see a strange vehicle in your community, pick up the phone, call the nearest police station, call 919 or call 911.
Now, the Chief Superintendent is encouraging residents to remain vigilant while driving at home, especially at night. And she adds that there are several types of vehicles that are being targeted.
And so if you're driving a Cube, a Honda Fit or a Passo, you want to always be on the alert and always aware of your surroundings, and you want to ensure that no one is following you at night to your residence in an effort to take your vehicle from you.
Chief Superintendent Skipping's telling parents of criminals that they too play an important role in fighting crime.
You know that your child does not work. You know he doesn't have a job that's making the amount of money to bring in a flat screen TV or a Honda Accord. Be a part of the solution of the problem.
Reporting for our news, I'm Atalia Hall.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, trading gas for electric, how a rise in the cost of fuel is turning some households energy efficient.
Plus, coming up in Sports for Tonight, we'll check in on our athletes at the World Championships in Oregon. And of course, a young swimmer in Grand Bahama receives a nice honor. We'll tell you all about that coming up in sports.
And later, find out the investment by Disney into young, budding entrepreneurs. The details when our news returns. This is our news. Welcome back. Some Bahamians are saying goodbye to high gas prices for good. Tonight, our Jamila Missick takes a look at how electric cars are becoming more popular. Here's her report.
With gas prices increasing on a day-to-day basis, BYD vehicles are becoming more popular now. And the best part is it's 100% electric.
They're sleek, they're efficient, they're equipped with the latest technology, and they're powered by electricity.
Just plug into BPL, or it can come from renewable sources like solar, wind, and so forth.
Our news visited Easy Car Sales, an EV dealership, to find out more about the electrically powered cars. Owner Pierre Farmer says a common misconception is that electric vehicles are expensive, but Farmer says that's not the case and explains why.
A gallon of gas is $6 to $7. A gallon of gas will take you 25 miles, more or less, 30 miles. But to go the same distance in electricity only costs you $1.25.
Sales executive Dion Longley says there is growing interest in electric vehicles as they require very little maintenance and do not spread harmful gases into the atmosphere.
If you had come to me about 2 years ago, Bahamians weren't pretty much interested, because they needed to know the pros and the cons. But after a lot of reading with our society, which they do a lot, some customers know more than you, but they are coming back, particularly with the gas prices.
Now we decided to put one of our own electric vehicles to the test.
We left our studio with the vehicle 63% charged, and after driving for about 12 miles, the battery life moved to 55%. Reporting for our news, I'm Jamila Missick.
Well, Bahamian athletes continue to perform at the World Championships in Oregon. Meanwhile, a young swimmer honored in Grand Bahama. Here's Marcellus Hall.
All right, thanks a lot. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. The World Championships are now into day 5 in Eugene, Oregon. Our Bahamian athletes continue to get their performances in. Yesterday, 200-meter heats underway. Mixed results. Let's take a look and see exactly how it went down. World Championships activity in Eugene, Oregon. 200-meter heats featuring Bahamians Tania Gaither and Anthony Strawn. Tania Gaither in her heat, boy, she would run a pretty good leg as she comes through in third, able to advance to the next round with her performance there. Meanwhile, not so good for Anthony Strawn, as in her heat, she would suffer an injury and unable to finish the race here. Unfortunately for her, her World Championships is done. We're not worried yet as to how bad the injury is, hoping that she will get back in short order and not have a long-term issue with this event. But so far, Tania Gaither doing very well. Looking to see how she does in the next round of events. Meanwhile, from swimming, swimmer Lamar Taylor was recently honored over in Grand Bahama in front of a number of friends and family and local dignitaries. He received a good surprise, an unveiling of a sign that will now be displayed in full regalia at Sunrise Subdivision in Freeport. On hand was Iram Lewis, Member of Parliament for Central Grand Bahama.
You know, we say that it is very dangerous to recognize people when they're so young because they have a chance to mess up in life. But I believe that you should recognize persons whenever they do something great. And I don't care how young they are, how old they are, we ought to recognize them. We recognize you, Lamar, for the wonderful work that you have done and for the wonderful work that we know you will continue to do.
And that is your look at sports here on this Tuesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Still ahead on our news tonight, from reporting the news to making it. Find out our news sports champ and his road to achieving gold. Plus, meteorologist Greg Thompson is back in the Weather Center with your extended forecast. And later, how Disney is helping junior achievement. Stay with us. Welcome back to our news. Our very own sports anchor, Marcellus Hall, taking home the gold in the men's physique masters category at the National Body Fitness Championships recently. Hall was the only contestant to participate over the age of 40. He speaks on his experience in the competition and what it took to prepare.
The hardest thing isn't really the training. I always tell people, you know, the lifting and the weights ain't the hardest part. The hardest part is obviously nutrition, because you got to be so strict with what you take into your body from a nutritional standpoint. And so when that was the toughest adjustment for me, like I said, it was just me over 40. I was the only fool over 40. So I was able to get in there and able to get it done.
Congratulations, Marcellus. Well, breezes may pick up a bit. Greg is back in the Weather Center with our extended forecast.
Thanks and welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. Warm and dry weather pattern across areas. A ridge of high pressure dominates our weather that's extending out of the Atlantic across us and into the Gulf of Mexico. That is also combined with some Saharan dust across the area. That's keeping conditions rather dry. So we're not seeing much in terms of any shower activity across our area. And it will continue to be that way for the remainder of the week as this ridge of high pressure stays in charge. But that high pressure will slide out slowly towards the east. Saharan dust will eventually start to fade. The tropics quiet, the Saharan dust is keeping tropical storm formation at bay. Not much in terms of any development with those systems out there in the Atlantic, and we will continue to see that trend over the next 5 days. If you're doing any boating tonight through tomorrow in the northwest and central Bahamas, your winds will be out of the east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your low tide will be at 7:43 tonight. For the southeast Bahamas, a caution flag posted still for you guys down there. Easterly wind flow at 15 to 20 knots, and your wave heights running 4 to 7 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your 7-day forecast, not much change in terms of weather. Some afternoon isolated showers and thunderstorms possible Wednesday and Thursday. And as I said, that Saharan dust should eventually fade, and that high-pressure system will remain in charge for the remainder of the week. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night, everybody.
The Disney Wish sailed into the port of Nassau over the weekend, introducing its newest Wishes Set Sail campaign and opportunities for Bahamian youth. Junior Achievement Bahamas is one of the recipients of Disney Cruise Line's efforts, helping to restart junior achievement on Abaco, Eleuthera, and Nassau. JA Bahamas Chairman Philip Simon.
It expands our ability to reach as many students as possible. As you know, the mission and the mandate is really throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to get to as many students from kindergarten to grade 12. And this allows us, especially on those 3 islands, especially on Eleuthera and Abaco in particular, after Dorian, and it's just been such a hard time kind of kickstarting the programs again.
The president of Disney Signature Experiences says the donation will support programs already making a difference in the community and the country.
These programs, what they're going to do is they're going to train young people in financial literacy, in business operations, entrepreneurship, from elementary school all the way up to high school.
Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.